Beneath the courthouse lawn in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a shadow had lingered for half a century. Layers of earth, like the weight of lost years, held a summer's dream from 1957 captive, a time when Americans envisioned a future gleaming with chrome. When the vault was finally breached in 2007, the assembled throng hushed. Lights pierced the darkness, and there, emerging, was the outline of a Plymouth Belvedere, its once vibrant fins now encased in mud, the hue of faded recollections. It was no longer just a car, it was a message from a different America. Back in 1957, it had been a promise. Low, elongated, a vision of the future, all gleaming with Virgil Exner's audacious spirit. A sedan conceived in the space age. Even before the space age had truly begun, though, time had taken its toll. The Belvedere had shot up like a rocket, then plummeted, and finally vanished without a trace. In the hopeful America of the mid-1950s, Detroit was convinced it could shape the future in metal. Suburbs were expanding, highways were being built, and families craved cars that seemed ready to launch. General Motors ruled that world with a kind of effortless ease. Ford was close behind. Chrysler, despite its engineering prowess, had developed a reputation for conservative designs and careful choices. Then a designer arrived who refused to let caution dictate the future. Virgil Exner's design ethos, dubbed the forward look, dictated that automobiles should break from the past, instead embodying the future as envisioned by those who gazed at the heavens. The 1957 models represented the zenith of this philosophy, hitting the market a full year ahead of schedule. When the first Belvedere appeared in dealerships, the reaction was unprecedented in Detroit. Motor Trend's reviewers noted Chrysler's leapfrogging of the competition, characterizing the cars as lower, longer, wider, and more audacious than anything else available. The Belvedere nailed the aesthetic. Its tail fins weren't just angled, they cleaved the air, tapering to sharp points. The roofline was low and smooth, supported by slender pillars that gave the glass an almost floating quality. The whole thing had an aggressive posture, as if the car was poised to pounce, even at rest. In pictures, the new model appeared strikingly contemporary, almost futuristic, when placed next to its 1956 Forerunner, which now seemed like a relic. Inside, the jet age had arrived. Plymouth showcased color-coordinated dashboards, expansive instrument panels, and chrome details designed to mimic aircraft controls. The upholstery featured vibrant two-tone schemes, bronze and ivory, turquoise and silver, precisely the palette mid-century America used to envision its aspirations. Brochures claimed the interiors were designed for flight, and the public was convinced. Beauty, however, wasn't enough to secure victory in Detroit. Underneath the sleek exterior, the Belvedere housed a mechanical core that aspired to match the car's aesthetic appeal. Plymouth's V8 offerings spanned the 3001 to the high-compression 318 polyhead. The latter was marketed as providing V8 power with ease on the open road. In the Fury, the limited production performance leader, a 303 cubic inch V8 equipped with dual 4-barrel carburetors, propelled the brand into genuine hot rod territory. Period. Road tests revealed impressive acceleration, a surprising amount of torque for a Plymouth, and a level of refinement that caught many off guard. Then came the whispers of flight. Chrysler's new 3-speed automatic, debuting in 1957, was a significant upgrade from the 2-speed transmissions still common among rivals. Critics lauded its precise upshifts, likening its response to a finely tuned watch. Paired with the Belvedere's robust V8s, it gave the sedan a contemporary, agile, and sophisticated feel, qualities Plymouth had struggled to achieve. For a time, it worked. Sales climbed, showrooms bustled. Even GM's designers, it said, made the rounds at dealerships to see the cars up close, a rare move. Chrysler was convinced it had rewritten the styling playbook, and the 1957 Belvedere was the star of the show. But revolutions aren't without their costs. Behind the scenes, in the factories, murmurs circulated that the new cars weren't quite right. The frames were thinner, the timelines shorter, and Chrysler had pushed everything to the edge to get the forward look out before anyone else. While the public swooned over the design, the engineers were holding their breath. The cracks, both literal and figurative, were already appearing. They started small. Rumors from dealers, brief mentions in service bulletins, whispers circulated among the mechanics, those who'd witnessed the early demise of too many vehicles. Cars were coming back almost immediately, sometimes within a matter of days. A suspension arm gave way on a bumpy stretch of road. A door wouldn't stay shut. Electrical issues danced behind the dashboard. And hidden beneath the shiny tailfins, a more serious problem lurked: rust. Not the slow, creeping kind that takes its time, but a fast-acting variety, spreading along seams, bubbling up under the paint, turning new metal into powder before the warranty was even activated. Chrysler had rushed the forward look into production with a zeal that left little room for error, welding shortcuts, thin metal, poorly sealed areas. These were the trade-offs, the behind-the-scenes deals that accompanied Virgil Exner's design success. Within the plant, some employees quipped that the 1957 models would look like 1962s in half a year, a harsh observation that spoke volumes about how quickly things could go south. The press started to catch on. The Detroit Free Press reported that Chrysler's swift changes to the tooling had strained the company's manufacturing processes, while Popular Mechanics, in a quiet aside, mentioned that the early cars were showing unexpected wear. Dealers rushed to calm customers, and technicians put in extra hours to fix problems that had caught everyone off guard. Plymouth, once so pleased with the car's cutting-edge look, was now forced to defend its very structure. And the situation couldn't have been more precarious. Ford and Chevrolet immediately saw the opening. GM launched a barrage of promotions, touting its superior build quality compared to competitors, while Ford subtly highlighted its established reputation, a not-so-subtle dig at Chrysler's woes. In 1957, style was king, but a car's lasting power kept buyers coming back. And the Belvedere's stunning design had, in some ways, compromised its core. Still, for all its shortcomings, the Belvedere was impossible to forget. It ruled the boulevards, where neon lights traced its fins like glowing runway lights. Teenagers watched them glide past drive-ins, convinced they were witnessing the future. Families gathered for holiday snapshots, smiles wide. Plymouth's daring design had, in a way, rewritten Detroit's playbook, compelling rivals to mimic the aesthetic for years to come. Even those who weren't fans conceded that, despite its imperfections, the 1957 forward look represented a seismic shift in post-war American automotive design. Yet even the most impactful ideas aren't always enough to endure. The following year, a recession hit, and car sales across the country took a hit. Buyers grew wary, hesitant to invest in a company beset by whispers of quality control issues. Plymouth took a nosedive. Ford surged ahead. GM expanded its dominance. And as the forward-looking design language softened into more subdued forms for 1958 and 1959, the initial allure of that radical shift began to dissipate. By the mid-1960s, the 1957 Belvedere was a rare sight on American highways. Many succumbed to corrosion. Others were consigned to the scrap heap when the expense of fixing them exceeded their worth. A handful remained in barns and scrapyards, stripped of their components, yet still identifiable. The haunting echoes of Exner's boldest design. For years, collectors turned a blind eye. The imperfections dulled their shine. Their story faded into obscurity. But history has a knack for bringing the overlooked back to life. In Tulsa, a city that once marked its statehood with parades, music, and the burial of a shiny new Belvedere as a time capsule, the car sat, sealed in concrete, swathed in plastic, surrounded by the hope that the future would recognize its worth. The Plymouth endured storms, floods, and 50 years of shifting times. When its vault was finally opened in 2007, onlookers anticipated a preserved gem. They envisioned golden paint, gleaming chrome, a flawless forward-looking design, untouched. Instead, they found something different. The roof peeled away like old skin, exposing a form that had once been regal, now barely recognizable. The Earth had long ago breached the vault's seal, transforming the time capsule into a submerged grave, a tomb of murky water. Miss Belvedere, the car selected in 1957 to represent America's optimistic vision, had not been preserved, but rather entombed. Her roofline sagged, burdened by the weight of accumulated sediment. Chrome had corroded into pitted remnants. The bronze paint, once gleaming like freshly minted pennies, had become a textured landscape of decay. It was as if time itself had attempted to erase the future. Still, the crowd didn't flinch. They moved in closer. Cameras clicked. Children inquired about its former appearance. Adults would murmur about their parents, about their own younger days. Remember the first time they spotted a '57 Plymouth Rocket? All those fins and the promise of speed? Something shifted then. The car's decline somehow amplified its allure. It transcended mere machinery. It became a symbol of an America that dared to dream, to build a future on hope. Collectors and restorers pored over the remnants. Experts pronounced the car beyond saving, a statement tinged with both sadness and admiration. Efforts to shore up the metal were made, but years of exposure had rendered the structural steel almost fragile. In the end, Miss Belvedere wasn't brought back to life, but rather preserved, a testament to what she had endured. She's not a restored exhibit now, but a symbol. This car achieved a kind of immortality not by surviving, but by the tale of its ascent, its decline, and its eventual rediscovery. That's the peculiar magic of the 1957 Plymouth Belvedere. It dazzled Detroit with its beauty, then faltered under the pressure of its own aspirations, vanished, swallowed by rust and the wrecking yards, only to resurface, a legend long after its competitors had faded from memory. The forward look endures. A bold design revolution in the annals of automotive history. Chrysler, in that instant, demonstrated its ability to envision the future, even if it couldn't quite grasp it. The Belvedere's legacy now survives in pieces. The flash of a preserved Fury at a car show, the dented arc of a barn-found fender, the fading outline emerging from Tulsa's muck. Each fragment speaks a shared truth. Great ideas, after all, can be blinding. If this neglected relic sparked something, share your thoughts. Your words will help resurrect its story. If you find yourself drawn to tales like this, let it be known. Like it, share it, spread the word, and if you're curious about the forgotten roads of Detroit, subscribe. The journey ahead is populated by ghosts, and each one has a tale to tell.